Wrestling fans around the corner, around the world, I'm Dan Marty.
And I'm Mr. USA WWE Hall of Famer, Tony Atlas.
Don't look at your smartphone, don't look at your watch, don't look at your cable box if you still have one. It's 9 o'clock, it's Tuesday night. A brand new Wrestling Insiders at List Your House is coming up next.
Wrestling fans, can you feel it? The 9th annual Paul Bearer Holiday Headlocks Toy Drive Cyber Fanfest explodes into December. We can't bring you a live wrestling event in 2020, but we're bringing you a plethora of live interviews and virtual autograph signings to continue our tradition of updating Santa's GPS to find every kid's home. This Friday night, December the 11th, we're joined by the massive Warlord in studio. This Saturday, December the 12th, Native American Tatanka joins us for the toy drive for the very first time. Then this Sunday, December the 13th, it's a doubleheader of Future Star Superstars, is the new Impact Wrestling World Champion Rich Swann joins us for the first time in studio in 8 years, along with up-and-comer Wheeler Yuta, who recently competed in the Ring of Honor Pure Title Tournament, along with competing here in Boston Wrestling MWF. John Cena Sr. will also have a live episode and is working the phone lines on the North Pole to try and make this year's drive even bigger. Individual autographs and an all-inclusive VIP package is available online now. If you order your signed photos before or during the live appearances, the superstars will sign them on the air and then mailed directly to your home. If you want a VIP package but you missed some of the superstars' live appearances, don't worry. They've signed enough photos and posters for us to ship to you by December the 19th. If that wasn't enough, we're working on items for our annual mega raffle where one lucky fan will walk away with a huge jackpot of prizes, all to benefit the toy drive and honor the memory of the late, great Paul Bearer, who helped myself and John Cena Sr. start this endeavor in 2012. Head on over to BostonWrestling.com to get your orders in now. Let's create smiles in 2020.
This is Mick Foley.
This is Harley Race.
This is Shelton Benjamin.
This is Mr. Wonderful Paul Orndorff.
This is the Monster Abyss.
And this is Daniel Bryan.
This is JBL, and you're watching the MWF.
Be there live.
All right, wrestling fans, I'm Dan Marty.
And I'm Mr. USA 2006 WWE Hall of Famer, Tony Atlas.
Tony, I'm very happy to have you with me again on Tuesday.
Well, thank you, Dan. I appreciate that.
It is of the 3 weekly talk show series we have, I don't know who brings the most normalcy to this place. Is it you on Tuesday? Is it Marty Jannetty on Thursday? Or is it John Cena Sr. on Friday?
I think it's just Boston wrestling, baby.
We just got a lot of fun going on.
Wrestling. It's not the wrestler that make the program, it's the program that make the wrestler.
And then, as we've noted, Tony, the 9th annual Paul Bearer Holiday Headlocks is coming up throughout the month of November into December. We have some A-list superstars. Since you can't come to an arena, we're going to bring them to you here at this studio online for autographs, Q&As, live TV tapings, studio shoot interviews. We're going to do right by this man because I tell you this, Tony, I still miss this man every day. He was so good to me, and he was such a good friend.
Dan,
he was like a second father.
Dan,
yes.
don't do that.
What?
Mess with that thing like that. Something may come out of there.
Well, there's nothing in it.
Dan, don't play with that now, Dan. You know better than that.
You think anyone ever said that to Lanny?
I knew it. You just can't be nice, can't you?
I'm being very nice. It's the holiday season.
Oh, leave my buddy Leonard alone.
You know how much this toy drive means to me, Tony. This will be the 9th year we're doing it. We can't have a wrestling event because of the situation of the world with the virus. So we have to be awfully creative in trying to do everything out of this studio. We're trying to work with the studio to see maybe if we can have small amounts of fans come in, maybe 2 at a time, to get an autograph in person. I don't even know if we're going to be able to do that, but we are going to be able to do a lot of great things online. And of course, all the great merchandise available on eBay. My little helper in Stamford, Connecticut, in Titan Towers, even though Titan Towers is still closed, legitimately to about 95% of the office, They're going to try and help. One of my other little helpers down at the Performance Center in NXT in Orlando is going to try and help. I'm reaching out to a lot of our wrestling friends. I know, even like our friend Mark Henry, when he was with us last December down the street in Melrose, he had to leave early because a friend came to visit him. There were a lot of leftover pictures that day. Maybe he could even sign and we could include them in the bundle. You know what I mean? Mark is a man with a big heart. Yes, he is. You know, I did a lot of travel with Mark Henry, a very intelligent man, a very hard worker, and I'm very sure if we get a hold of him, he'd be more than happy to do that. Hold on one second, Tony. I need a little of this from our friends at Boost Oxygen, boostoxygen.com. All right, that's going to open up my brain a little bit more, so I go from Reno Chastain to Bob Snow. What? Would you like to try this? No, I ain't going to try none of that dope. It's just air. That's dope. It's not dope. It's air. Yeah. Hey, Dan getting stoned. That one, that vapor stuff. Visit boostoxygen.com. It's also available at fine retailers everywhere. And you'll be high as a kite. It's like an energy drink, Tony, only it's air. Yeah, you think you got energy till you find out that you're floating in the air and you ain't even left your bedroom. I've been down that road. All right, Tony, we talked about a man that's got a little bit of moss on the top of that dome. Some say it's real, some say, eh. What? You leave John It's like one of those plants over there they have in the corner. It might not be all natural, but anyway. He raised one of the greatest superstars that WWE ever seen. Well, that's, Tony, as we were just going to say, we have to offer congratulations to the Cena family. John is married for the second time. They had a big wedding. And now he's riding a big purple bull. Down at the Cena Palace in Tampa, Florida. You seen that? And I did not see him on a purple bull. He wear a commercial. They do a commercial. You know, I did see that commercial. Got his hair slicked back. Yeah. And he get this big purple cow that he rides now. He's doing that. He does Hefty. He does the voiceover for Hefty. For a truck commercial. That's right. He's doing TV shows. He's doing movies. John's doing great for himself. Yeah. And now he's married for the second time. I believe the very lovely lady's name is Shay. Oh, wow. So John Cena Sr. had to sneak down to Florida away from us. He married, what, to Bella before? No, they never got married. Never did. He married to his first wife, I think he went to high school with. Oh, wow. So they had a long relationship. No, he made a very wise move in not marrying that one, the Bella twin. Why do you say that? Well, she can keep dancing with the stars. Every female member of that family is looking for someone making 6 or 7 figures. You know what I mean? Have you seen their mom? Yeah, she married Johnny Ace. What a good-looking woman. And John Cena Sr. was after her. Oh, my goodness. He looked like a pit bull going after a snake the first time he saw her. I saw her one time, and I asked her, I said, that your sister? What a very attractive woman she is. Kathy is her first name, I believe. Yeah. Very attractive woman. Couldn't believe it. She married old Johnny Ace. Huh? She married old Johnny Ace. Well, Titan Sports did well by their family. Well, I'll tell you what, she couldn't have got a better man. Than John Cena Sr.? No, I mean Johnny Ace. Yeah, because Johnny, like we said about him earlier, he's honest. He is, I think so. He's a very honest, straightforward, straight shooting guy. So she don't have to worry about somebody going to lie, cheat, or do anything. And he's very responsible too. Well, I think she got the best end of that deal. I'll throw this out there, Johnny, and Tony, and you know there are stories out there about anyone in the head of talent relations position, but back in, we're talking late 2010, as the director of talent relations, he let us book Daniel Bryan when he was the WWE United States champion to wrestle. I mean, you don't see that very often on any independent wrestling show, but the man kept his word. Yeah. I have a lot of respect for him. Yeah. I just think that family of the daughter and the daughters and the mom, I just think they made out very well. You know, the type of guy that Johnny Ace is, she couldn't ask for a better family man. I mean, do you think that's why we haven't seen John Cena Sr. on TV since? I ain't seen him on TV never. Well, Johnny's been involved in many feuds in WWE. I never seen. He main evented Raw against Randy Orton. You never saw that? John Cena Sr. against Randy Orton? I never saw that. You never saw that? Oh, no. We got to find that on YouTube. Oh, I never seen it. Edge went to his home with Lita and beat the shit out of him once. The night after SummerSlam 2007 in Boston, Randy Orton took him from the front row, flipped up John Sr. onto the floor and punted him in the head like he was a kicker on a football team, and
I didn't know that
he
either.
busted him open legit. He gave him 6 stitches above the eye. You didn't know about all the little feuds he's been involved with?
No, because it's hard for me to watch it.
If you're not watching it, you wouldn't see it, right?
Where they put me to sleep.
Well,
I mean, all that talking,
not when our Johnny's on. That amuses me.
Talking, just put me to sleep.
Well, I'm going to guess you didn't get an invitation to the wedding.
No, I don't get an invitation to nothing.
Well, you could have given them a nice drawing, I'm sure.
Well, they don't invite me for anything.
Well, it'd be hard to get a drawing from you, then.
Yeah.
Well, on one of the recent episodes we do...
last time you told me I wanted to fight, what's his name?
Brock Lesnar.
Brock Lesnar.
Yeah.
Changed my mind.
Del Rio?
No, I heard him. I want Randy Orton. He said he's a legend killer, right? Every time he said that, I said, you ain't killed all the legends.
You are the legend he hasn't got his hands on yet.
I'm the legend he don't want to put his hand on.
Really?
Think about it.
You got
why he ain't did it?
You got Bob Jr.
Why he ain't did it?
Well,
why he ain't did it?
There's one left.
What's stopping him? What's stopping him from getting a piece of this?
You think now? Who do you think's got the bigger guns at this point? You or Randy?
I do.
You think he got bigger guns than Randy?
I've been around him. I wrestled his grandfather.
That's what I mean.
And I wrestled his father.
And Bob, I have to say, is one of my favorites.
Bob is a great guy. Bob is a great guy.
I know you like to talk
and
politics
a lot of people don't know Bob is a hell of a shooter.
Yes.
A lot of people don't know that. You talk about tough. Bob Orton had to be one of the toughest men ever stepped foot in the ring. Even though he was Piper bodyguard and put all the attention on Piper, the real man in that situation was Bob Orton Jr. I mean, Bob Orton Jr., even now today, he's he's tough as nail. Even today, he's tough as nail. I saw him wrestle last year in a match.
He doesn't want to give it up. I remember when we were down in...
He is still as good in the ring as he ever been.
We were with the little Dutch boy from Holland. So I think that was New Orleans. And we went out for a nice seafood dinner one night, and Bob was pushing 70, obviously. Yeah. And he said, he says, the day I have to give it up and I can't get in the ring again, it's going to kill me.
Yeah.
He just loves the business that much.
It's been his whole life.
Yeah.
It's been his whole life. But I still would like to get in the ring with Randy because to wrestle somebody's father and grandfather, it's kind of like The Rock. I wrestle against his grandfather and I wrestle with his dad. Next time I come, I'll bring you a picture of me drop kicking Peter Maivia.
Really?
Yeah, that was my first match in Madison Square Garden. It was a 6-man tag.
Really?
Yeah,
wow, what a first match.
Yeah, it was Alpha and Sika and Peter Maivia versus me, Pat Patterson, and Alvin Puskett.
Wow.
That was my garden debut. Pat Patterson and Alvin Puskett and me was teamed up against the Wild Samoans and Peter Maivia.
Wow.
That was my debut match. You got to look that up.
I'm quite interested now.
Yep.
All right, well, Tony, speaking of interesting, as we mentioned, every Friday night at 10 p.m. after SmackDown airs on Fox, John Cena Sr. joins us in studio with his own Thunderdome. And one of the most recent episodes we had, the fans were kind of interested in your feedback. John took to task former Democratic presidential candidate Andrew Yang in some of his recent comments about the WWE independent contractor versus employee battle that's been going on right now.
What did Andrew Yang say?
Andrew Yang is very heavily in the favor of the wrestlers that he feels have been used and abused for a long time. In one of his quotes, he said, Vince McMahon is fucking greedy. So Andrew Yang, if there is a Democratic president, could be in a position to cause a little bit of trouble in Stamford, Connecticut.
Well, I never met Andrew Yang, but I sat and listened to him during the Democratic debate. Mm-hmm. And one thing that I like about Andrew Yang is that his knowledge of the future will be a great asset to America. I listen to him talk.
He's a smart man.
Well, he's not. You know how you talk about, well, let's go back. Let's go back. Let's go back. Let's make America great again. go back, go back, go back, go back, go back. What made America so great? When the Europeans first came on the Mayflower here to this great country of ours, they had one thing that the previous people here did not have.
What was that?
Education, knowledge, technology. The people that was here prior had bow and arrow, knives and spears, and lived in teepees. The Europeans built houses, fought. They had cannons, they had guns. And if you look at the Civil War, they had submarines. Submarines go all the way back to the Civil War, which really surprised me when I looked at the history book. We was more educated than the people we went against. Germany was more educated than the rest of the world at the beginning of the at the beginning of the 1900s. Mm-hmm. They had weaponry and technology that the world had never seen before. That's why, to be such a small country, they was able to threaten the world because of their knowledge in technology. Andrew Yang talks about this as the future of the country. We keep talking about bringing the factories back. We keep talking about bringing back the 50s, mm-hmm. bringing back the 60s. If we're not careful, we're going to end up a third world country, and these other countries that had embraced technology, that had embraced education. I saw on TV the other day they were stopping Oriental people from Japan and China for attending our university, because they are getting the education and taking it back to their country and using it against us. Whereas our kids, they don't want to learn how to even spell their name. They want to skateboard and do everything that is not going to help them in the future. And Andrew Yang struck on that, and I sat there and listened to him. I said, now that is what should be told to these people. Forget about what your dad did. Forget about what your grandfather did. You are not going to live in the 50s. You are not going to live in the 60s. You're not even going to live in the 90s. I got in an argument one time with CM Punk in 2007 when they had Ohio Valley. Remember that?
Yeah.
Ohio Valley incident me and him had. And I was talking about the good old days, like most of the old people do. In my day, son, in my day. And CM Punk was sitting there doing this the whole time I'm talking. I said, hey, what's wrong with you? So we started a little verbal competition between us two. Then when I came back into wrestling in 2008 to manage Mark Hendrick, after 1 year with the WWE, I had to go to CM Punk and apologize, because he was right. If you ever talked to John Morrison, you know what nickname I gave John Morrison?
No.
My mentor.
John Morrison was your mentor.
He was my mentor. He sat down and explained to me how the business have changed from my day. Because I was out of the business since 93. And this is 2008. So from 1993 to 2008, when we talked to 15 years later, 14 years later.
At least for mainstream wrestling.
The mainstream wrestling. Yeah. I mean, so I was totally out of touch. Totally out of touch. When most people bought their home, they bought them in the 80s, the 70s, 80s, and 90s. And they had jobs, and they had this, and I listened all the time. And this is the worst thing to tell a kid. That's why Bernie Sanders struck so well with the young people, not with us old fox, but with the young people about this free education. I got a friend of mine, and he told me, he said, oh, I'm so glad I don't have no more student debt. He's 61. He's 61 years. So if you go to college in America, by the time you finish paying off your student debt, it's time to collect Social Security. Yeah. So in other words, this is a lifelong debt. And when Bernie got out there and said he's going to expunge that, in every country in the world, I go to Canada a lot, and the Canadians always make jokes about the stupid Americans, because education in Canada is free. Now, when I went down to do that Jerry Lauder, the 50th anniversary, the guy that I was riding with was a school teacher. And he told me something that shocked me. In Tennessee, according to him, I don't know, I don't live there, the community colleges are free. They cost nothing. The state pays
It's a good idea.
It is free. These kids are going to have to, America going to have to compete with the rest of the world. It's a global economy. All this stuff about isolating yourself from the rest of the world, that worked in the 30s, the 40s, the 50s. We're not going to live in that time again. We are kind of like the range wars of the 1800s, the 19th century. You know, the people in the 19th century, the 18, you know, after the Civil War, you know, 1880, 1890, civilization was coming to a new change. A change was taking place in civilization. But these old ranchers, they want open range. So they was against farm. They was against fencing. They was against progress. I was reading a story the other day about, what was his name? Rockefeller and Thomas Edison. Rockefeller hated Thomas Edison because during the 19th century, America got its light from oil. They had them oil lanterns. You know, so you had to buy the oil, put it in a lantern, light it. You remember when you was a kid?
Yeah.
You know? When you were young, Dad. But anyway, Thomas Edison came up with this idea. Hey, this little light bulb here will give you more light. You don't have to light it. Then the oil lamp. He wanted to put Thomas Edison out of business. Now, what if Rockefeller had won?
Yeah.
We've been running around with little oil lamps right now.
Imagine what this studio would look like.
Yeah, little oil lamp. And then I read about Ford when he was trying to put the first automobile out on the road and how people felt against a car. How do you like to stable your horse tonight instead of park your car? You know, so every time the world move toward the future, you're always going to get these old dinosaurs started talking about the good old days that these kids are not going to live in. You know, it is nothing other than manners and behaviors that I could teach a young person. In fact, the young should be teaching us, and that's what, getting back to Andrew Yang, that's what struck me about him, that he's looking at the future that is coming. He's young. Every other politician is looking at the old days, the good old days, that is never going to come back. And if the good old days ever come back to America, we'll be a third world country. We cannot be number one going back in the past. My mother used to always say, you could never move ahead, boy, by looking back. That's water under the bridge. You can't get it back. I can talk about my childhood all I want. I can talk about my heyday in the WWE all I want. It ain't coming back. The Tony Atlas you saw in 1990, you ain't gonna never see him again.
Well, let me ask you this. Do you think Yang was accurate when he was on, I believe it was Chris Jericho's podcast? He said Vince McMahon was fucking greedy. You think he is?
No.
You don't think? Why don't you think Vince is greedy?
Well, here's the reason why.
Yeah.
I learned this long time ago. I wrestled in the Spectrum. I got $1,500. Every major Coliseum that I wrestled in, I got between $1,500 and $2,000. I wrestled in Madison Square Garden. I got $600. So I went to Vince Sr. I said, hey, you're screwing me here. He said, in what way? I said, well, I got this here, I got this there, I got this here. Why did I only get $600 here? He said, I won. He said, you are the owner. He said, I didn't get paid. He said, I make no money running the garden. He said, it cost me $20,000, $20,000 just to open the door. That's for the garden. Then he had to pay a percentage of that for gate tax to the athletic commission. He had to pay all the referee because they work for the commissioner. He had to pay for the policeman. He had to pay for this. He had to pay for that. With a complete sellout. A complete sellout. Vince made zero. He said he ran it for the publicity.
Well, Yang isn't talking about Vince Sr. He's talking about Vince Jr.
Well, Yang is not looking at, he's not looking at what go behind. Let's say Vince give me $100,000, put it in my pocket, just for the example. But that ain't the only cost. He's spending another $2 He's spending, I'm getting 100,000. Vince is probably spending about 700,000 on me that week. TV time, the minutes that I'm on TV.
Very expensive minutes.
Very expensive. So when I walk out on that TV with Mark Henry, even though I may get $1,000 for that match, that's what Vince is giving me, the TV station and everybody else is making millions off of that airtime. That airtime is very, very, very expensive. You take them magazines, every WrestleMania magazine, I'm in it. Well, he got to print them magazine. Vince is spending money on me right now. Every time he put my picture in a magazine, that costs him money to put that picture there of me. In
Well,
that
they
magazine.
only release of one magazine a year.
Every time he put my picture on the internet or anything, they don't let him do that for free.
I understand that, but I look at it like this, Tony. If you look at virtually every other form of sport, NFL, NBA, there's generally about a 50-50 split between the ownership and the athletes. In WWE, you have a split of about 8% goes to the wrestler and 92% goes to the corporation. You don't think there's a problem with that dynamic?
No.
Why, though, Tony?
Well, because
I don't understand why you don't understand, I guess is where I'm confused.
well,
And I'm a WWE stockholder. I want to see them make the money. You know what I mean?
where they do make money.
I understand that. But what I'm saying is why is it in every other form of sport and entertainment, you're looking at almost a 50-50 revenue split, and in WWE, it's about 92% company, 8% talent. That's a big difference.
Well, there's more hands in the cookie jar. See, Vince is new to the corporate world.
It's
So
almost a 40-year-old corporation, Tony. It's not that new.
Yeah, but MFL is how old?
Well, they've been around since the 60s, yeah.
There you go. So maybe in another 10 or 20 years now, Vince be able to do that. See, Vince had to pay for a lot of stuff. It started with that Pat Patterson child molester stuff and Hulk Hogan and them steroids, where he had to do certain things that these other organizations don't have to do. He had to pay a lot of money underneath the table to keep a lot of wrestlers out of trouble. These other guys.
That was in between 1992 and 94.
Yeah, but these restrictions are still there. It's like the cigarette company. They got to make commercials and tell you how cigarette is bad for you. That come out of their pocket. So the price of cigarette goes up. We pay more for cigarette because the government told the cigarette company they can't advertise. They can't advertise. And like the MFL, like to say, for example, if you bring Tom Brady in here, right? You would get thousands of people to pay for his expenses. Thousands of people. It wouldn't cost you a damn to bring Tom Brady here because of who he is. You try to bring Hulk Hogan here. That's going to come out of your pocket.
Right.
So Vince paying for a lot of stuff that the MFL don't have to pay for. Vince do a lot of stuff that the MFL don't have to do. So he spent a lot of money doing what he need to be done because you got to realize wrestling always been looked at. We look at MFL, we look at that as a sport.
You don't think at this point, though, WWE could, with the record profits they're making, could pay for the guys' hotels and rent-a-cars at this point?
I don't know they overhead, so you got me in a predicament that just like when you run shows, a wrestler say, "Oh, that Dan Morelli is cheap as hell." I mean, I work for a guy down the street, and he paid me $1,000. I work for Dan, and me and him had to argue over $300. It costs you more to do things because you can't get the backing, the sponsorship, and all this stuff that MFL had developed over the years.
Well, what I'm saying is that right now, WWE is making record profits. They're making more money than they've ever made in the history of the company. I'm talking about not the net and the gross. I'm talking about the profit, the pure profit. They've never made more profit than they're making right now.
But they never spend more either.
There could be validity to that statement, but at the same time, no matter how much, whether they're making, no matter what the expenses are, they're making more than ever before.
But they're probably spending more than ever before too.
Why are they the only major league entity that do not treat the talent more humanely?
I wouldn't say they don't treat them humanely. I'm not standing up for, I'm not going against the boys, But because I've been in the business for such a long time, and not knocking nobody, but maybe some of the guys ain't worth more. You look at most of the guys that they
They're
put on
not worth
TV,
a hotel room?
they probably
They're not worth
worth
a rent-a-car?
Well, they're not the athletes that an MFL player is either, and they don't draw the revenue that an MFL person. I mean, Vince has spent a lot of money on people that don't even make Vince money. I mean, if you stop and look at it, now this is one thing, I ain't knocking none of the guys. Please don't get me wrong.
All right.
But I was talking to a guy before the coronavirus, and he was shocked that I sold more pictures, and you was there. You was there. The last WrestleMania we did.
WrestleCon weekend, yeah.
But the guy next to me, he had 2 WWE stars. Remember?
One of whom is back in WWE
Back
right now.
in there right now. And the guy came to me because he went to warm up my chitlins for me.
Yeah.
You know what he told me?
What?
He said, I wish Dad had him and I had you.
I'm glad I had you in Dutch.
That's what he said. He said, every time I see you, Tony, you signing. He said, only thing he's doing is talking. You didn't see a whole lot of signing.
No. It was dead. Dead on arrival.
See, because they are not what people expect a wrestler to be. Vince is promoting a lot of people that could not make a living in any other sport. Right. He paid them what they worth. When you walk on an MF football field, you worth $1 million. You walk in a WWE ring, you're not worth $1 million. You're not, you're not that type of athlete. You know, you get what you paid for. Vince have a hard time fanning these type of athletes. You understand what I'm trying to say?
I do.
You know, and when people see them in person, that's where the shock come in. I was a baby face. To be a baby face, you gotta be small. Heels were bigger than a baby face. Mulligan, all them guys were bigger than me. Now, you got 150-pound guys. Johnny United, Law United, we were talking about it. When I was there in 2008, you know what he told me every freaking week, every week? Tony, we need more big guys. That's why Vince blocked them off from the public. Because this guy is in the ring. Prime example, CM Punk. Here's a guy that couldn't last 3 seconds. 3 seconds. And how much money he got out of Vince's pocket?
Several million.
$7 million he got out of Vince's pocket and couldn't whoop his way up a wet paper bag.
You're talking about UFC, though.
Yes, it don't matter. He made more money than the guy that whooped his ass. Yes. Well, the guy that whooped his ass never made no $1 million. He's not all over every magazine cover. He's not all over the internet. They don't even know who the guy's name is.
So
who is the guy?
I don't remember.
See what I'm talking about?
Well, I'm not much of a UFC fan.
A guy that never won a fight, that the first fight the guy ever won. And he won it in what, 3 seconds?
Are you trying to say you're not a member of the Yang Gang?
Well, no, I'm just saying it's hard to pay people that you know is not worth what it costs so much. See, Vince spends so much money. What happened with this? See, in my day, I'm not trying to brag on me, but it's the damn truth. The Ultimate Warrior, for example. Vince didn't have to put a lot of money into him. He walked to the ring. He was over. He was over like $1 million just by walking out the freaking dressing room. So he cost Vince very little bit of money to make money with him. How much money do you think Vince had to put into CM Punk to make him look to be something he's not? See, Vince spent a lot of money to make something out of nothing. Triple H, probably the cheapest guy Vince got, because Triple H don't need all that build-up. When Hulk Hogan wrestled me, you listen to the tape, half of the audience were cheering for Hogan, the other half were cheering for me. Vince didn't have to put a lot of money into Hogan to make Hogan who Hogan was. But you got any idea what Vince had to put into this guy to make Pee Wee Herman, okay, into Mike Tyson? They not the same guys. And people are not blind. I keep telling these independent promotions that. I took my wife was the first one to know that. I took her when Tony Romo was running shows, right? He couldn't get all the talent no more. He was kind of, you know, dropping out. So he was getting whoever had a pair of trunks, and we were asking for 25 bucks. If you want 50 bucks, I couldn't use you. And that's a lot of independent shows around here. You know that.
Oh, sure.
If a guy make 20 freaking bucks, he did good on the independent show. But then you look at the talent. You look at what's coming out there with the clothes falling out, the little flabby looking bellies and everything, the little buggy whoop arms, you know.
The little newts.
Yeah, you know, I mean, they are the worst looking things in the freaking building. The people in the orders in better shape than the wrestlers.
Yeah.
So you got $25 wrestlers. So for $100,000 for a guy that could participate in no other sport but pro wrestling, he's doing them a favor. If you want to stop and think about it. When you look at guys like Jimmy Snuka, you ever notice about all the old timers that you meet? Have you ever, something you always notice about it? We are bigger than everything Vince got. Think about it.
It's a fair statement to make.
We are
but
bigger.
Don't you think that the talent pool is worth more than 8%?
Well, no,
really?
because it's not 8%. You keep looking at what he putting in the pocket of the wrestler. He may give you.
Well, are you trying to say that the NFL and the NBA, they don't have to invest in their talent?
No, because these guys go to college and when they walk on the field, look at a new guy from the Patriots. How much money you think they had to put in this guy to make him? You have to make him first. You have to get him to the position to draw you money first. In the older days, it took a promoter 3 months to get a person over. You know, 3 months.
Yeah.
But Vince got competition all over the world. So what Vince got to do, what Vince paid to get Tony Atlas over is peanuts compared to what he had to invest into, let's say, a CM Punk. He may give CM Punk, let's say, a $250,000 a year, but Vince is spending maybe $5 million just to get him over with the people. It costs him so much to get these guys over. And even with all the expense and everything, we go to Fanfest. And here's a wrestler ain't been on freaking TV for 10 years and selling more autographs than a guy that been off TV for 2 months.
Yeah.
And how much money people put into that? How much money Vince put into that guy?
Yeah.
See, this is what people is like Yang, they don't know. I ran shows, I would be talking differently, Dan, if I had never promoted myself. Like, let's say a wrestler called me, for example. I'm just using these numbers, not nobody. Let's say a wrestler say, "Hey, Tony, I'd like to be on your show." I said, "Well, I can give you $500. $500? I usually get $1,000. I said, "Brother, it's going to cost me $1,200 to bring you in." "What do you mean it cost me $1,200 to bring me in?" I said, "Well, your ticket going to cost me $500, so you're up to $1,000. I'm paying for your freaking hotel. You're going to be there for 2 nights. Hotel is $120 to $150 a night.
Advertising.
So that's another $300. So I'm up to $1,300 right there. I got to make posters and advertising. So now I'm up to $1,500. You know, then I have to pay somebody to drive your big ugly ass around."
Do you think Yang is a mark? Is that the problem?
Yes. He don't understand promotion. He's just looking at what the wrestler is receiving. But what he don't realize that a promoter has to put more into developing his talent. It costs Vince more for airtime now. And Vince don't have a whole lot of sponsors, as you know. Not like the MFL. The MFL is hooked up to other stuff.
Well, that's
right. Yeah, they make money by renting these guys out to this fund and the children's hospitals and veterans and this and that. They're like octopus. They're like a freaking octopus. They got money coming in from all directions. Vince is just now started, even though it took him 40 years, he just now started to get some of this octopus. And then something happened like the real.
That's the what?
Like this. The guy that beat up the girl, the idiot, Alberto.
Oh,
yeah, it did
Alberto
stuff like
Del
that.
Rio.
Right, it did stuff like that hit. And you know what the paper's going to say? Former WWE wrestler.
Right.
Former WWE wrestler. Okay? Now, a lot of sponsors, well, maybe because of this diarrhea thing, even though he's not with this, a couple of sponsors said, well, maybe I should invest in golf. Or maybe I should put my money to get guns. Maybe I should put my money here. Maybe I should put my money. Yes, they're making racket but it costs him more to develop the talent, what people don't understand. In my day, you didn't have to invest that much into a wrestler before you started receiving the fruit of your labor. But how much money, you look at what CM Punk put in his pocket, and then you stop and think about how much the Vince spent to get him to that point. When you promote a team, you promote the whole team all at once. It's kind of like if you go to any printing place, and let's say you want to buy a dozen of eggs, then you probably gonna pay $2 or $3 for a dozen of eggs.
Like if you went over to Shaw's.
Right, but if you went and bought a whole crate of eggs, you pay like 50 cents a crate.
Get a deal.
Because you buy in bulk. Everything that the MFL do is in bulk. What Vince do is one at a time. So Vince is paying more for the eggs because he could only, he had to go with this dozen of eggs, this dozen of eggs, this dozen of eggs. With the MFL, give me a crate of eggs. So they pay one lump sum, but because they do everything in such a lump sum, it's less investment. All they had to do is invest into a team, the team. That's what they invest in. Vince invests in each individual, which the cost, when you know from it's business anyway. When you buy, when I used to go get my pictures made, I would go and get one picture made. A color picture, it cost me about $1.50 to $2 for one picture. If I get 1,000 pictures made, it costs me 11 cents per picture.
Big difference.
Big difference.
Big difference.
Big difference. 11 cents per picture if I buy in a bulk. MFL do everything in a bulk. This do everything one at a time.
One superstar at a time.
One superstar. You had to develop these guys where they could bring in the money. You take like a wrestler, even though this guy Yang is sitting there talking about that he's greedy. When you stop and look, if somehow you could look at the numbers, and you say to yourself, remember the house shows wasn't doing that good, remember?
Very low.
Remember that? Okay, so you got this wrestling show, you got this guy that you paying $100,000 a year. But then when you look at what he's bringing in and what you got to invest, see, most Yang is only looking at what the wrestler is getting. He's not looking at what it takes to put the show together. You're a promoter. You know what I'm talking about.
Sure.
I come to you dancing, oh, Dan, I need at least this, I need this. Then you said this, God damn, Tony, come on. You got a 2-hour drive. You know, we're going to go out to Kowloon, which is the best Chinese restaurant in Boston, in the Boston area.
World famous Kowloon Entertainment Dining Complex.
We're going to go out and have a nice meal. We're going to have some great fun. All that Yang is looking at is what you paying Tony Atlas. Yang ain't looking at all them posters you put out. Yang ain't looking at you paying for the billing. Yang, you understand what I'm saying? He's not looking at you paying for the billing. He's not looking at all the plane tickets that we just got through talking about that you stuck with. You stuck with the thousands of dollars.
Lots of plane tickets.
Lots of plane tickets. And the airline is not cheap anymore. So you may got, let's say, Mark Henry there, but you got to pay Mark Henry plus his airfare. By the time you get through paying, let's say, I don't know what Mark price is. Let's say Mark price is $3 grand. So if you gave Mark $3 grand, but then you spend an extra $6 grand getting him here.
Airfare, hotel,
airfare, hotel, and everything, and outside
everything.
So that $6 grand all of a sudden that $3 grand all of a sudden turned into $5 or $6 grand real fast. And Mark ain't even came. And then if something happened, you may not make no money that night. Like when Vince run them buildings, the house shows are down, he don't invest millions, not thousands, but millions of dollars into this wrestler. Then he rent the building and it's half full. So Vince didn't make no money off that wrestler that day.
Well, interesting perspectives. I know, John.
Well, because the only reason I think like this, because I've been in Vince's shoes. My mother said, never judge a man until you walk a mile in his shoes.
And you know shoes.
Yeah, I do. And he said, until you walk a mile in his shoes. Never judge a man until you walk a mile in his shoes. So, and you know I told Vince that?
Did you?
I sure did. I took it out. Went to Vince. This was after I became a Hall of Famer. And he brought me down to the office. There, this guy named George, he was a referee. he took me down, and I was setting off and talked to Stephanie. They just didn't think about putting me on the contract. And believe it or not, Vince wanted me to be an announcer.
Right.
But he changed the man because I couldn't pronounce all the wrestlers' names.
Yeah.
So it was my pronunciation was not up to par. That's why he changed it and made me
manager.
Yeah, manager, because you know how the job Booker T got. That job would have been mad if I could only make.
If you would have been a little bit better with the pronunciation.
If I was a little bit better with the pronunciation. But anyway, he would show me around all the stuff in this area of what he tried to do. And I said, Vince, first I want to apologize to you. I said, I've been promoting shows now for the last couple of years. And I said, when I'm sitting in the dressing room and I got a 7 o'clock show and it's 6:30 and half of my wrestlers are not in the dressing room. I said, what a headache that is. He said, now you know. That's what Vince told me. Now you know. And I thought about all them times that I showed up late and Vince was sweating bullets. I thought about all them times I was with Vince one time and they were going to do a signing of the contract, signing, and Teddy Long was supposed to be there. It was a storm. Teddy's flight got canceled. Now Vince said, now what I'm going to do? He had to save a private plane to get
Long?
To get Teddy Long. So he spent, that's extra money, just to get Teddy Long. A private plane because they canceled his flight. You understand?
Yeah. Oh, I understand.
And I told Teddy this. I said, Vince, I don't care how you do it, get him here. I don't care how you do it, get him here. I need Teddy.
You want to hear a story? I'll tell you this because he's passed away now, but along the lines of what you're saying, Paul Bearer had one last run in WWE in 2010 while he was still working with us at the same time.
Right.
And they brought him back to be involved in one last final angle with Kane and Undertaker.
Right.
Well, the travel, as you know, he's a larger man, and it was difficult for him to get from point A to point B. Well, in the fall every year, WWE does one of their European tours.
Yeah,
and
right
their
after
their TV taping was over in England.
Yeah.
And for him to get to England would be near impossible, especially in coach. They spent, WWE now spent $12,000 on a first-class ticket to get him from Mobile to wherever in England he needed to fly to. $12,000 for one round-trip ticket. They really wanted him on that TV show.
See my point?
Yes.
See my point? So Yang is not looking at the expense. Sometimes it costs, and then after Vince spend the $12,000, that guy's not going to make that back in that trip.
No, not at all.
So Vince needs that type of money.
That was a money
because
loser.
he's spending a lot of money that is not being shown.
Yeah.
Like at WrestleMania, Vince rent the whole hotel, and at rooms like the Western, what at $250 a night?
Oh yeah,
$250 a night. So you stay, them wrestlers sleep in a $250,000 room, free. When they do TV, they got catering with lobster,
free
steak,
meals,
lamb chops, free. How much you think all that food cost to feed all them people?
Not cheap.
And then he got an office. He got an office right now that most of the people is not in the office right now, but they're sitting home getting a check.
Yeah.
That he's paying them. He got wrestlers that are receiving a check they hadn't wrestled for years. You know, they are called goodwill ambassadors.
The legends, yeah.
Yeah, the legend
ambassadors.
contracts. Yeah, and they ain't been in ways in years where Vince is paying for these guys. You know what I'm saying? People that have a problem with drugs.
Yeah.
Vince got a program. He got a program that you could go to rehab.
Yeah.
At WWE expenses. So there's a lot of money being spent, not just on the wrestling show, that Vince is spending on other things that the government forced him to do. Just like they did with most companies. Most companies have to do a lot of things in order for them to keep their license. So a lot of that money don't go to Vince. They say he's making a profit. Yeah, that's what he's making. But out of that profit, he ain't finished spending.
All right, well, Tony, we're running out of time on this one. I found it very interesting. John Cena Sr., he kind of leaned more towards Yang's way of thinking. So I guess maybe we'll have to see what Marty Jannetty has to say. Again, folks.
Well, I know you got to go, but one day,
Yeah.
John Sr. going to run a show. He going to be Vince. And that's when he going to say, well, wait a minute now.
You think he'll need an X? He'll be sweating so much the piece will come loose? Or what?
He said, I thought this guy going to cost me $500. By the time it's all said and done, I spend $15 on this guy.
Is the glue going to get a little loose?
And the house is the shit. Okay? You went through that. Okay?
All right, wrestling fans, for the Hall of Famer, Tony Atlas, I'm Dan Marty. Don't forget, Thursday night at 9 p.m., we'll be back with Marty Jannetty. Then at 10 o'clock, we'll have our weekly AEW NXT review. We like to have a lot of fun with that. Friday night, John Cena Sr. and the Peace are back after SmackDown at 10 p.m. Then Tuesday nights, we love our Tuesdays with Tony. Tony is with us at 9 o'clock, and then at 10 o'clock, right after we get done with Tony, we take a look back at Monday Night Raw from the previous night. Again, folks, the 9th annual Paul Bearer Holiday Headlocks Toy Drive is coming. Big-time Major League superstars and legends are coming to this studio for live interactive autograph signings, studio shoot interviews. We're hoping to be able to let a limited amount of fans into the studio. It's going to be throughout November into December.
Out November?
Into December.
And January.
It's not going to be just one date. It's going to be a plethora of dates. Plus we got the eBay, plus we got great artwork like this. And let me tell you, if you're looking for a great Christmas gift, whether you want this Road Warrior one or not, that is one thing. But Tony is available for commission drawings. If you're interested to have Tony draw a beautiful portrait like this for you, contact us at the email address on the screen. It helps keep Legends working. The Patreon gives you early ad-free access to all of our Wrestling Insider episodes, our studio shoot interview DVD series, plus, again, you help keep Wrestling Legends working for the price of a cup of coffee at Starbucks over at patreon.com/Boston Wrestling. We just ask you to share. Let your friends and fellow fans know what we're doing. There are millions of wrestling fans in existence that have no idea that Tuesday nights Tony and I are here at 9. They have no idea about the craziness and the no-holds-barred sex, drugs, and rock and roll stories Marty's telling Thursdays at 9, and they don't know about the intellect of John Cena Sr. Friday at 10. The more wrestling fans that experience us, I believe the more will continue to join us on these shows, and that means we're going to get more wrestlers now that are going on 8 months without regular wrestling matches, regular autograph signings, and their various appearances that have gone without any income. It gives them a chance to get some help, get them some work, and get them some money in the pocket, especially where it's coming close to Christmas time. So, I'm all winded now. I need a little boost of oxygen. From our friends at boostoxygen.com, for my friend, the Hall of Famer, Tony Atlas, I'm Dan Marty. We'll see you Tuesday night. Wrestling Insiders at your house. Good night.
Wrestling fans, can you feel it? The 9th annual Paul Bearer Holiday Headlocks Toy Drive Cyber Fanfest explodes into December. We can't bring you a live wrestling event in 2020, but we're bringing you a plethora of live interviews and virtual autograph signings to continue our tradition of updating Santa's GPS to find every kid's home. This Friday night, December the 11th, we're joined by the massive Warlord in studio. This Saturday, December the 12th, Native American Tatanka joins us for the toy drive for the very first time. Then this Sunday, December the 13th, it's a doubleheader of Future Star Superstars is the new Impact Wrestling World Champion Rich Swann joins us for the first time in studio in 8 years, along with up-and-comer Wheeler Yuta, who recently competed in the Ring of Honor Pure Title Tournament, along with competing here in Boston Wrestling MWF. John Cena Sr. will also have a live episode and is working the phone lines on the North Pole to try and make this year's drive even bigger. Individual autographs and an all-inclusive VIP package is available online now. If you order your signed photos before or during the live appearances, the superstars will sign them on the air and then mailed directly to your home. If you want a VIP package but you missed some of the superstars' live appearances, don't worry. They've signed enough photos and posters for us to ship to you by December the 19th. If that wasn't enough, we're working on items for our annual mega raffle where one lucky fan will walk away with a huge jackpot of prizes, all to benefit the toy drive and honor the memory of the late great Paul Bearer, who helped myself and John Cena Sr. start this endeavor in 2012. Head on over to BostonWrestling.com to get your orders in now. Let's create smiles in 2020.